News, Dubai.
Now, it was the worst industrial disaster in history. 25 years ago, in the Indian city of Bopal, a cloud of toxic gas leaked from a pesticide factory. Within 3 days, 8,000 people were dead. Then thousands more have died or been badly affected since. Local people, backed by 2 recent studies, say the plant is still leaking dangerous toxins into the city's drinking water. The BBC's Alan Little has been to Bopal to investigate.
Imagine a dense cloud of poisonous gas drifting through these streets. On that toxic night in December 1984, the wind direction determined whether you lived or died. The parents who come to the Chingari Day Centre ingested the gas and survived. But years later, their children were born mentally and physically impaired. Sidesh is 7. He can do nothing for himself. His mother blames the gas leak. When I try to remember that night, she told me, my head spins and I'm afraid I might faint. Many of the survivors have spent their adult lives too ill to work. For this suffering, they received about £700 each in compensation.
The hospital mortuary can't cope with the dead bodies.
It was the worst industrial disaster in history. 40 tons of the deadly chemical methyl isocyanate, or MIC, leaked from a pesticide plant run by the American corporation Union Carbide. Within 3 days, 8,000 people were dead. Tens of thousands more died later. 500,000 ingested the poison and survived. The legacy today is an unusually high rate of birth defects and retarded growth. Jagdish is usually taken for 10 years old. In fact, he's 22. He showed me the ID that proves it. Other people my age make fun of me, he told me. They're all much taller than me. I'm not sad or angry. I just wish I could be as tall as them. How despairing must a mother be to hold sentiments like this?
He
isn't even growing. It would have been better if God had not given him to us. When I think about it, it would have been better if Jagdish had never even been born.
The Union Carbide plant is still intact, rusting and forlorn, its control room abandoned, and in its laboratories, untouched, bottled chemicals lie where they were on the fatal night.
This used to be the dumping ground.
Sartu Sarangi is a leading campaigner for victims of the gas. He says the Union Carbide plant, 25 years on, is still leaking toxins into the groundwater.
These groundwater contains a range of cancer-causing, birth defect-causing, damaging to the liver, kidneys and brain, to the fetus. So there's a high incidence of birth defects among this population.
The state government supplies clean water by tanker and pipeline, but campaigners say thousands still depend on groundwater pumps. We took samples to test in the UK. We found extremely high concentrations of the pollutant carbon tetrachloride, nearly 1,000 times the World Health Organization's maximum. It causes cancer and liver damage.
25 years on, this plant, or what's left of it, has become an enduring symbol of what big companies from the rich world can get away with when they do business here in the poor world. And in this city at least, the anger about that remains undiminished. But increasingly that anger is directed not only against Union Carbide, but against the Indian authorities themselves.
The people of the affected areas are still fighting. They accuse their own chief minister of betraying the poor by ignoring the evidence that problems persist. The chief minister dismissed their claims, insisting that the Union Carbide plant had been made safe.
But isn't it rather shaming that for so many years after that terrible tragedy, poisonous chemicals were still there?
No, there is no truth in it. There was chemical waste there, and it was decided that the waste would be disposed of according to the instructions of the Supreme Court. But there was nothing hazardous to human lives there, immediately or later on.
25 years on, no one has been successfully prosecuted. But the shadow cast by what happened here reaches even now down through the decades and into the lives of generations not yet born on the fatal night. Alan Little, BBC News, Bopal.
A scandal 25 years